So US markets had a very decent session yesterday. The Dow was up nearly 400 points. S&P touched a record high, up 1%, closing above 3,400 for the first time. And Apple hit yet another lifetime high, taking all your tech stocks higher, invigorating the Nasdaq. Now, if you want to ignore the regular movement, you also had futures which were up. So Dow futures were up 53 points or 0.2% overnight, and S&P 500 and Nasdaq futures were both up either 0.2% or 0.1%. Now, also what happened yesterday is that the US cases came in at 37,000, far lower than their recent 50,000 average and considerably lower than their long-term COVID averages. So this has really got airline stocks excited. It also got cruise operator stocks excited, and a lot of enthusiasm on the coronavirus recovery front. Now, coming down to see how Asia is responding to a very strong US handover, currently we have the Nikkei up 1.2%, we have the Topix up 1.2%. So two headline Japanese indices really making ground this morning. You have South Korean Kospi up 0.7%, you have Australian ASX 200 up 0.7%. So it doesn't really matter where in the Asia Pacific region you are, these stocks are definitely invigorated on the back of a very strong US handover. Now, coming forward to Europe, European stocks also closed in the green yesterday. You had the Stoxx 600 up 1.6%, which is a very large gain for that index. Over here, all your sectors and major bourses ended the day in positive territory. So those are three broad regions of equity, and everyone seems to be in the green. So given that, the SGX Nifty today, our indicator here for domestic equities, is also indicating a significant gap up opening, and we should see that play out through the rest of the session as well. Coming to two commodities, oil and gold, there's two storms approaching the Gulf region right now, and that has actually forced a temporary shutdown in oil operations. Now, what this typically does is it limits supply, so you see oil prices instantly reacting and shooting up, but because oil is currently so tied to demand, and demand is so weak given COVID-19, oil prices surprisingly didn't really see that much of an uptick. With that being said, West Texas Intermediate, which is the US benchmark, gained a modest 28 cents to settle at 0.66% higher, $42.62 per barrel. Conversely, you had Brent, which advanced a little more, 78 cents or 1.76, so nearly 2% at around $45.13 per barrel. So those have both seen an uptick, but nonetheless, given that demand is still weak, and there's commentary coming out of the US that demand might take longer to recover, oil prices are remaining a bit subdued. Now, gold. Gold has been rallying because equities have been weak, the market's been choppy, the market's been frothy, so investors aren't quite sure what to do, and bullion has been everyone's bet and safe haven. That seems to now be changing a little bit. The US health regulator last night also authorized the COVID-19 treatment plan, and that's also hurting bullion's appeals, and that's actually sending equities now to new highs. So gold, which was at $2,080 per ounce just very recently, is now fallen, and yesterday particularly spot gold fell 0.5% to $1,929 per ounce. And US gold futures settled down 0.4% at $1,939 per ounce. So now over $100 lower from their recent peak, clearly signaling that equities are back in flavor.